Hello, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where I am going to be trying on 10 pairs of barrel leg jeans so that we can compare the various different fits because no barrel leg is the same as another. Now there's no denying that barrel legs, jeans and trousers is having a bit of a moment right now, but that's not to say that they can't be a very firm and solid staple in your wardrobe for years to come. Because at the end of the day, jeans are jeans, and the only person that can decide what style and cut and fit is best for them is you. Right, let's get stuck in. I'm going to start from this side of the rail. I'm going to start off with the Marks and Spencer barrel leg jean. Now Marks and Sparks have got two different barrel leg jeans at the moment. I've also got the other one coming up, but I'm going to start off with these classics first of all. So this first pair of jeans, they are £29.50. Pretty reasonable price if you ask me. They're 100% cotton, so there's no stretch in there. However, that said, I don't feel that the denim feels particularly stiff or starchy. I personally find these very comfortable, which is why I have them in all four colours. Now, a bonus of Marks and Spencer, as I have said multiple times before, is that they have different leg lengths. Now, I do have some other jeans coming up that are also offered in different leg lengths, but M&S tend to be my go-to. So when it comes to the style of the jeans, there's one element on these in particular which kind of sets them apart to most of the others on the rail, and that is the side panel seam, if you will. So on these, you will notice that these have an additional panel which runs down the outer edge of each leg. So unlike a standard seam, which is normally just stitched down each side, this has a panel which runs in the middle, which is why they're able to achieve this sort of barrel leg curved shape. Now, there are going to be lots of different sort of extremes, varying extremes of the barrel leg shape in today's video. You'll see that from all the different pairs of jeans. These for me are kind of like, they're that really happy medium, which is why these are a personal favourite pair of jeans of mine. Now, they're not number one on my list, but they are a very close second. And also I'd like to point out, because I find this really useful on the Marks and Spencer's website, the reviews. They have got excellent reviews. And what I think is probably useful for you guys is if you have varying body types, especially if you have a different body type to me. I only have my own body type to work with. So if you go and check the reviews, you will have lots of different insights from people with maybe a body type that's more similar to yours. Okay, moving on to barrel leg jeans number 2. These are also from Marks and Spencer, so this is the second style that I have from M&S, and these are the relaxed barrel leg jeans. Now on the surface of it, they may look very similar, however, there are some differences. First and foremost, the price. These are actually £10 more than what I'm calling the classic barrel legs, so they're just barrel legs. These relaxed are £39.50, so there's a £10 price difference in there. What do you get for that £10? I wouldn't necessarily say that the quality or the style element of them is worth £10 extra. However, if you are a big fan of having elastic, even if it is just 1%, as with these, in your jeans for that comfort factor, then these are probably going to be the best option for you, because these are 99% cotton and 1% elastane. And as I've mentioned in many of my denim videos, that 1% elastane makes a huge difference when it comes to comfort. Now, the barrel leg shape in general seems like quite a comfortable shape, in my opinion anyway. However, a lot of them do tend to be higher rise. Both of these M&S styles are classed as a mid-rise. Now, of course, you can alter that depending on whatever size you choose. I will often size, or at least if I find a size that comes up a little bit large, I will stay with that size just so that I can wear them a little bit lower slung. Now, one other difference between these and the classic barrel legs is that these do not have those panelled seams that run along the edge of each leg. They do have at the bottom, like almost at the cuff area, a little dart which will taper those in a little bit more towards the bottom, again to achieve that barrel leg shape. Right, my next pair are from Uniqlo. These are called the Curve jeans. And I suppose this is one thing I kind of want to flag when it comes to barrel leg jeans. They might have various different names. They could be called curve, balloon, horseshoe. They're all a very, very similar fit. So if you're looking for something with a bit more of a shape to them, those are the kind of keywords to look out for. So these are £34.90, which again is pretty reasonably priced. And this is actually the only pair of jeans that I've got on the rail to try for you guys today that have a very slightly different fabric composition. So these are actually a lyocell and cotton blend. So whilst they do feel like a substantial pair of jeans that can take you through the seasons, they also feel quite soft and they have more of like a fluid movement to them. And I know I use that phrase a lot, but they do. And because of the shape of them, they almost don't look as exaggerated when it comes to that rounded barrel leg shape because of the movement of the fabric. Now this style is classed as high-waisted, but as I mentioned with regards to the first pair of jeans, and to be honest, any of the jeans on the rail, you can adjust that depending on the size. So in the cutaways, you will see that I am trying on some which are slightly larger on the waist, where you can pull them down a little bit more. And then I have these ones here, which are a 28-inch waist, which would be my standard size. And these do come up high-waisted on me. So you can just see the varying different sort of styles with regards to how they fit, depending on the size that you choose. Now, along with the different fabric composition, these are also the baggiest style of barrel leg trousers that I have in today's video from this selection. Now, as I've already mentioned, the sort of exaggerated curve shape is softened, if you will, by the fact that this fabric does move, so they're not quite as yeehaw, not quite as cowboy-esque, but they do have more of a slouchy sort of skater vibe to them. And that, of course, adds to comfort. So if it's comfort that you're looking for, I would say these probably come out on top. Okay, next up, and these are from H&M. These are the loose fit, high-rise barrel leg jeans. These are £37.99. They come in a rather ridiculous 18 different colours. Little bit excessive, but you know, at least you've got lots of colour choice and options there. Now I've gone for the slightly sort of bleached or light wash, if you want to call that, acid wash, whatever colourway here, and these have featured in a couple of my recent videos. These are 100% cotton, so there is no stretch in this denim, and I think that actually goes for the majority of jeans in today's video, so absolutely no stretch in these. They do, however, come in a very size inclusive size range, but they only come in one leg length. Now, maybe the clue is in the name here because it says loose fit. I do find, and this is very unlike H&M, that I normally find come up quite small, and in trousers in particular, I usually have to size up in their trousers or jeans bottoms. However, these I do find come up a little bit big. So I've got the 10 here and they are not high-waisted. I can actually pull them down, which is a benefit for me because H&M's leg lengths, unlike other brands like Zara, aren't particularly generous for us slightly taller ladies. So I find that if you're able to pull something down a little bit lower on the hips rather than high-waisted, it gives me that little bit of extra length. So size-wise, if you do want to add a little bit of extra length, then I'd stay true to your normal size. However, if you do want to wear them high-waisted, potentially I would size down by one size. Now, whilst the fabric composition here is 100% cotton, this denim does not feel thick and starchy, or at least it doesn't in this particular wash. One thing to be aware of when it comes to any different pair of jeans is that different washes, different colours for example, may feel and may fit differently. Just from experience, I know that darker washes, kind of like the wash that I've got on here, and also black, they can sometimes feel a lot thicker and stiffer and starchier than some lighter washes of the exact same pair of jeans from the same retailer. Okay, on to my next, and these are my number one. These are my absolute favourites. You'll have seen these in lots of my outfits recently, both on Instagram, lots of my content here on YouTube as well. These are the Zara barrel leg jeans. So Zara jeans and my body, they are just very compatible, which is why I like them. I do have longer legs, I'm 5'9", so I kind of struggle sometimes with high street jeans, especially from different brands, H&M, as I've already mentioned, but Zara jeans, they just fit me perfectly. And that is why these are my number one. Now, when it comes to little fit details and style elements, these have a high waist, and I would say if you stay true to size, you will get that high-waisted fit. For me, I just find them spot on, as I've said. They're just very compatible with my body. The sizing meshes well with me. So I have stayed true to size with these. They do also have a raw hem. So I want to flag that because that can make them feel just quite casual, I suppose. I mean, a pair of jeans is quite casual in itself, but I think that can sometimes give the illusion of being a little bit scruffy, and I know a raw hem might not be everyone's cup of tea, so I just want to flag that they do have the raw hem. Now, these do definitely have that curved shape in the legs. However, I do think that, again, the fabric, whilst it is a proper denim, it's 100% cotton, it is still quite soft. They move quite nicely, so it doesn't feel as stiff and starchy and as exaggerated. Okay, my next pair are from Vero Moda. I wanted to kind of introduce some brands that I haven't really spoken about before. I don't remember the last time I bought something from Vero Moda or even spoke about them. These are actually a really nice pair of jeans. They've got the tags on, as you can see, so they're just purely for this try on. They're not a pair that I do have in my wardrobe. And I don't really feel the need to be adding any more barrel leg jeans because I have got quite a few already. But I think these are a very, very good option. So they come in two different colours. They're £36. Fabric composition is 100% cotton. And once again, they don't feel thick, or they still feel like a decent pair of jeans, a substantial pair of jeans, so something that can still take you through winter depending on where you live in the world. But they don't feel stiff and starchy and almost like uncomfortable. So they do feel like a nice, comfortable pair of jeans. Now, the tops of these, the sort of thigh area, is a little bit baggier than some of the others. I'd say that kind of width is a little bit more similar to the Uniqlo pair of jeans, but actually when they're on, they're a really good length, on me anyway, and they just fit really nicely. They don't sort of look too overtly cowboyish with that bow-legged shape. I think they have more of an even sort of balloony shape towards the middle of the sort of knee area, if you will, which I think sometimes a barrel leg can be more curved on the outer edge than it is on the inner edge. And if that curve follows the same line as the outer edge, that's kind of what gives you the more horseshoe shape rather than more of like a balloony barrel leg shape. And this is another style which are high-waisted. One thing I will say is that the waistband on these also feels really soft, so they don't feel uncomfortable, if you will. Like, I've done a bit of a stretch test in them, I've sat down, I've kind of moved around, and they do feel quite comfortable. So these, I'd say, are probably number 2 or number 3 for comfort. Right, next up is a brand called Arrange. Now, I've never heard of this brand before, but I spotted them on ASOS and I saw that they had quite an extreme sort of shaped pair of barrel leg jeans, and I deliberately wanted to feature these just so that you guys can see what a more extreme shaped pair of barrel leg jeans looks like. So as I was just chatting about with regards to the Vero Moda, these kind of do have that leg shape which sort of makes more of a horseshoe. So that inner curve doesn't go out so much, it follows the same line as the outer curve of the leg. Now, what doesn't help these jeans, because if you haven't guessed by now, these are probably not top of my list. In fact, these are my least favourite because I think the style is just a bit too exaggerated for my liking, but the fabric does feel a little bit stiffer and starchier, so therefore that exaggerated shape tends to stay that way because the fabric is more structured. Now, this is actually the only pair of jeans that I've got on the rail that also has the more masculine fly detail, so the button-up fly, rather than a top button and zip fly. I don't know if that's going to be a personal preference for anyone, but I think for me, just the zip and button is much easier when needing to go to the loo. Now this style is also another high-waisted style. They come in 5 different colours and they also come in some more luxury fabrics. So there's a suede and a leather option as well, which are £220 if memory serves me correctly. Now this is actually the first pair of barrel leg jeans. I've got a couple of others coming up which have got this dart which would fall roughly around the knee area, and this is another sort of design element or another way of cutting fabric and sewing fabric together which creates that more sort of rounded shape in the legs. Okay, next up is Topshop, the return of Topshop. Growing up, Topshop jeans were my absolute go-to. I loved Topshop jeans. And of course, we all know the story with Topshop. ASOS now own them. And so I thought, you know what? Just for a bit of a throwback, I'm going to feature some Topshop jeans. I'm sure there are still some Topshop lovers out there who are loyal to the brand. So they do have a pair of barrel leg jeans. They come in, I believe, 3 different colours. These ones are actually in the sales. They were £50. They've been reduced to £36 if memory serves me correctly. This is actually quite a nice colour, perhaps a little bit lighter, so more appropriate for summer, but I mean, if you're someone that's not too fussed about the wash of your denim, they could very well see you through all of the seasons as well. And they come in 2 leg lengths. Now these ones are actually a mid-rise, so they're not quite as high as some of the other styles. And just as I mentioned with regards to the arranged jeans, these ones do also have that little tuck or that little seam towards the knee area. Now this is by no means as extreme as those arranged jeans, and neither is the shape of these. And finally, fabric composition of these is again 100% cotton. Now these, I kind of call these Goldilocks jeans because they're not super stiff and starchy, but they're also not super soft. These fall somewhere, they're kind of like a happy medium. So they very much feel like a proper pair of jeans. You can feel that sort of denim element in there, but they're also not super soft and flowy. So you do still get that prominent shape in the legs. Right, my next pair are from New Look. I must admit I haven't shopped in New Look in many years. It's just not really a brand that is a priority for me, or it's just not a brand that I instinctively go towards. I think just because we all have brands that we kind of like, if I want something, I know I can go here and I know it's going to fit and I know I'm going to like it, and I think New Look is just not one of those brands for me, but I know it is a brand that many of you will favour, so I wanted to feature a pair of their jeans. Now this is a prime example of what I mentioned at the start of the video, because these are called balloon jeans, but they are still very much the barrel leg shape. And as with the Topshop and the arranged jeans, these also have that little tuck, that dart detail around the knee area. Now these are another slightly wider fit, so they do seem a little bit baggier, and again the fabric is 100% cotton. And very similarly to the Topshop pair of jeans, I think these are kind of that happy medium with regards to sort of denim starchiness. They've got a bit of structure in there, but also they're kind of not too stiff and starchy like the arranged jeans. And now my final pair of jeans, and it's another brand that I just personally don't shop with. However, I wanted to give them a try. These are from River Island. Now, one thing before I kind of get started on all the other points is actually the colour of these. I think this is one thing that River Island has always done quite well, and it's creating this very specific, I call it a dirty wash, and it's that wash of denim that almost has like a bit of a greeny tinge to it, and that's either going to be your cup of tea or it's not going to be your cup of tea. But it's always been something that I found over the years, River Island, even when I did used to shop there, they've always done this kind of colour or this sort of wash of denim. So these are another pair which are 100% cotton, so there is no stretch in there at all. And with regards to the feel of the fabric, I'd say that these feel just a little bit stiffer than perhaps the Topshop and the New Look ones. So very much a substantial pair of jeans, maybe not quite as fluid, not quite as soft, but that could be down to the wash and the colour of these. These come in 3 leg lengths, which again is quite beneficial if you're trying to find the right fit and sort of style length for you, especially as we're coming into, or at least as we are approaching, the autumnal season. I know lots of you are getting triggered. You don't like me mentioning autumn, but it is coming. So obviously you can kind of cater the length there with regards to however you want to wear them. If you want to wear them with boots, or if you're more of a trainers or flats girl. If you are going to wear them with boots, and I am going to do that styling video for autumn with barrel leg jeans, if you are going to wear them with boots, I would suggest getting them a little bit longer, at least sort of around mid-ankle length, I would say, because that kind of gives you a better length for wearing over the top of boots. Right, there we go. Those were the 10 barrel leg styles that I was going to try on for you guys today. I'd love to know where you're at with barrel legs. Are you still on the fence like I used to be, or have you now very much climbed off the fence and you are team barrel leg? Or are you way over the fence the other side with your neighbours and absolutely not team barrel leg? I would love to know, so let me know down in the comment section below. And also just one quick reminder again that I do have those styling videos on how to style your barrel leg jeans, so I will leave links to those down below in the description box. And yes, I have listened to your feedback, and I promise I will be doing some more barrel leg styling videos for the autumn and winter seasons. They'll just be coming as we get a little bit closer to those seasons. But for now, that is it from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.